Why? Why? Why do I have to be productive in the morning? I'm just waking up. Give me a break. I low-key miss when I didn't have so much access to people's lives, like all of the intricate, some of the most intricate details of people's lives. And one of those things are morning and night routines. Okay? Because the amount of guilt I feel for not being productive is astronomical. At first, you start watching morning routines and night routines to be inspired, right? It's either you're in a funk or you're feeling like I'm not getting the best of my time or the most out of my time. Let me get some ideas from people. And this is where social media could be great. It's very, very resourceful. We have access to so much information, so many things that we didn't before. Okay? That is a blessing of social media. The downfall is we're human. At some point, even if this is not your natural kind of mindset, we are going to compare. We are going to, at some point, say either this person or that person is doing something really, really well, and I want to do that, and we get inspired by it, or we become so bogged down, so guilty about the fact that we're not being productive that we look at that person and say, I can't do that because there's something that they have that I don't have, which is untrue. With discipline comes small practices every single day. That's how you build discipline. No one is naturally, I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's just naturally born with discipline and self-control in every area of their life, right? A lot of things you just have to learn, and over time, it just becomes habit. So if you are in the second group of people that feels useless almost, that feels unproductive all the time, that feels, I feel like I am not reaching my potential, and if I did this, this, and this, I feel like I would be able to reach this vision, this dream that I see me in my life. And that, if that is you, that is also me. That is also me. That has been me for a long time. But if that's you, that's who I want to talk to. Okay. I have probably, I don't know how many morning routines or night routines I have watched. Okay. The one thing, I prefer morning routines. I prefer to focus on my morning routine, but I understand that you need a good night routine in order to have a good morning routine. But let's just start small. Okay. Let's take small chunks out of this big monster. Okay. The morning routine is easier for me to kind of look at, right? Because it sets the tone for my day. Then I feel like it's easier for me to have a better night routine. I can relax during the night. There was a period in my life where, and I feel like there might be other circumstances, but I feel like heartbreak, once you experience heartbreak, whether it's with a friendship or romantic relationship, the hurt, the pain that you experience through that heartbreak, it just creates a monster within you to just get everything together. Okay? So there was a period of my life where I went through a heartbreak and I turned into a monster. Not monster as in like a lunatic. Like I could only focus on one thing, and that was my routine. That was the one thing that I felt that I could control because everything in my life felt out of control. So the one thing that I felt that I needed to get a handle on and that I did get a handle on was my routine. At the time, I was waking up at 4 in the morning to get to the gym by 4:45 before it opened up at 5. Worked out for an hour, got home, made breakfast, showered, got on the train. That's walk to the train, get on the train for about 30-35 minutes to get to work by 9. Okay, it might not seem like a lot, but it was. And then there were sometimes I would wake up in the morning to go to the gym, but then right after work, get home around 6, change my clothes, and go to the gym for an hour, come back home, read, stretch, pray, and then be in bed by 8:39. I did this, I want to say, for like 6 months. And I did not At the time, I wasn't thinking, oh, I want to create a great morning routine because I want to be the most productive person ever so that I can accomplish X, Y, and Z. That's not why I was doing it. Now, the results of creating that routine or having that routine did benefit me down the line because I ended up losing weight. I had more control over my diet. I, excuse me, I felt, although emotionally I wasn't all there, mentally I felt like I had more control, and that made me feel better. Versus if I had not been doing those things, I felt like I would have been worse off because I was dealing with the heartbreak. So if I would have then sucked at my diet, wasn't moving my body, et cetera, then, you know, it would have been worse. But anyway, also during this time, I wasn't really socializing. So that probably was an issue. But anyway, it worked. It worked for that time in my life. And then once I realized this is too much because I wasn't allowing myself to be flexible, I kind of weaned off a little bit. The weaning off turned into like years of weaning off. And then I had to find another routine for different parts of my life, right? So I feel like when I watch these morning routines, when you look at these morning routines that are so perfectly curated, the assumption, at least for me, is this is the routine that I need to have for the rest of my life to be productive. And we have to remember, or I have to remember, that with different stages and seasons in life, your routine will change, right? Now, waking up at 4 in the morning, you cannot. The Lord has to come and wake me up and tap me on the shoulder and say, my child, get up. It's time to, because, or for a flight, or if there's an emergency and all that. But I am not willingly waking up at 4 in the morning. 5, I don't think it's completely necessary for me. I know that it's probably the most efficient, probably for your day, but it's not necessary. Okay. Now, now I wake up at like 5:45, which is like, okay, okay. But what I'm trying to say is one size doesn't fit all. And I think that when we as humans watch other people have this super productive life on camera, we start to lose sight of reality. Because truly, that person's life, they have different things happening. There's different factors. There are elements that we cannot see, right? And there are different parts of our personality that are different from the person that we're watching. So we cannot then watch something and assume, hey, this person is doing this, it's working for them, so this must be the best way to do this thing. That's not realistic. We have to take into account all of these different elements and factors because it makes a huge difference, right? And so it's unfair to then compare yourself to that person because you are just looking at the best parts of this person or what they're choosing for you to see and not the whole picture. Also, it's really difficult with social media because I feel like there've been um a lot of exposing of like people faking their morning routines, which is like, okay, not super surprised by that because if that's your job, like you want to make it look a certain way, whatever. Anyway, let's get back to the point. Okay, anyway, at that point in my life, that routine worked for me. At this point in my life, it is not going to work for me. Okay, one, I am much older. I was doing that routine when I was like 22, 23. Okay, I am not there anymore. I also needed to wake up early because I had a longer commute, so it made sense. Okay, and like I said before, I was heartbroken. So I had the drive, I had the motivation to do so because I needed a sense of control. And so that's the way that I gained that sense of control. So it worked for me. Now I'm a lot more chill. I'm a lot more established. My commute isn't as long. It's like less than 20 minutes now. I am in a new state, right? So before, up north, everything is go, 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 be productive. Now I'm living in the south and it's much slower. So for me, there's less pressure to be doing the most in the morning. Okay. But let's get back to the point because that's not the whole point. Okay. I'm thirsty. So we look at these curated lives, these morning routines, and we're like, man, why can't I do that? Why can't I wake up at 3, 4 in the morning, work out for 2 hours, read my Bible or read a book or journal, meditate, stretch, do some focused work, shower, make breakfast, meal prep for the day, then be out of the door. Why can't I do that? When I think about all of these things, one thing that I have noticed with a lot of these morning routines is that there is no quiet. There is no time for meaningful quiet. No time to just sit with your thoughts. No time to kind of get ahead of the noise of the day to reflect on whatever it is your brain takes you. Right? That's what I've noticed. It's all about, if you look at the titles of a lot of the videos, and maybe this is just like my YouTube feed, but it's like productive morning routine, productive this, why? Why do I have to be productive in the morning? I'm just waking up. Give me a break. Why does my morning routine have to be productive? And I understand, I'm not a CEO, I'm not an entrepreneur. Like, these morning routines seem to be for people who are like self-employed, which makes sense because you need some type of structure in your life because you're your own boss. I can understand. But what if productivity is also silence and just sitting with your thoughts? Like, where does that come into play? Like, where does that come into play? I found that watching these morning routines or trying to incorporate these morning routines in my own life left me tired, exhausted. And how am I exhausted if I just woke up? I don't want to feel exhausted just waking up. Something that I also found is whenever I would try to incorporate a new morning routine that started off with working out and then doing XYZ, whatever, jumping off the roof and running down the hall, the night before, I would start to feel burdened. I would start to feel like, oh my goodness, I have to wake up at this time to get all of this done. Like, am I going to get it done? What if I don't get it done? Then later on, am I going to be able to get it done? And then if I didn't meet kind of like those timestamps in the morning, the rest of the day, it would affect like basically the rest of the day, because then my mood would be off. Like, dang, I didn't get to do that. If I had woken up at this time, then maybe I could have gotten it done. And then it just does not, it defeats the whole purpose, because the whole purpose of you being productive is so that you can have some peace of mind, take advantage of the time that you have so that you have more time later on, and to use your time wisely, like after hours. But I found like it was doing the opposite. And I said, something's got to give. So instead of striving as soon as I wake up, and this might be just a me thing, but I would wake up and be like, okay, I gotta do this. All right, this. And then if I do it, I said, what if I just sat? What if I just sat? And whatever thoughts that came to mind, whatever feelings that came up from the night before, from my dreams, from the way that I slept, what if I just sat with that? And didn't judge myself for having those thoughts, didn't wrestle with those thoughts to try to, adjust them and change them. What if I just sat with whatever came? What if? So I started asking myself that, and then I started doing it. I can't fail at this. Like, sitting in silence, it's really hard to fail at. It's really hard to fail at. So I started to try it this week. I got tired. I was like, I don't feel like I'm trying hard enough or pushing hard enough. And then I felt like the Holy Spirit was like, just rest. I said, just rest. I just rested. Like, for like 7, 8 hours. What are you talking about? Just rest. Something that I thought of was, just because you are sleeping doesn't mean that you are resting. That's why there's such a thing as restless nights. Because yeah, you're laying in bed, your eyes are closed and you're like kind of asleep, but not really. You're restless, right? Your mind is still racing, and so you don't get restful sleep, right? So just because you're laying in bed sleeping does not mean you're getting adequate rest. And so I was like, oh, okay. Wow, that's crazy. That's because I just assumed if you sleep and then that's rest. So why do I need to rest when I get up in the morning? But also, why do I need to be on 10 in the morning? Because that's not natural. That's not where I'm at in the morning. Okay, let's be realistic. You have to meet yourself where you are, not where you want to be. Yes, we can think about, where do I want to be? Let me act like that person. But sometimes you got to take a pause, because your body and your brain might be telling you that you need something different right now. And there will be a time where you can start acting like the person you want to be. You just take smaller steps, right? And so if you're a person also who is very black and white, very on the extremes, that's me. And it's hard to be like, well, I don't see how these smaller steps will help me get to here. They do. So anyway, back to rest. So I was like, okay, I'll try to rest in the morning when I get up, and then work my way up. So my morning routine kind of looks like, whereas before it's like, okay, you wake up and then you go here, and then eventually, wait, let me be in the frame. So you wake up, you go here, and then eventually after work, whatever, go down here. Or is it like, I want to start here, and then as the day goes on, whatever. But now my day starts, okay, this is waking up. Okay, this is waking up. All right, the morning routine, and then work, and then down again. Okay, so instead of an abrupt, what we going up, and then we going straight down, and we crash. It's more of a slow. I guess that's what you would call a slow morning. Is that what you would call it? But I feel like the slow morning routines too, they be doing too much. I be like, isn't this supposed to be slow? I'm like, I don't wanna do things. I just wanna be. I just wanna be a human being. I wanna be. I don't wanna be a human doing. I wanna be a human being. Okay, so I've incorporated, let's get it together. Let's focus. I have incorporated being quiet and sitting in my thoughts, or sitting with my thoughts, not in them. Because what I'm not saying is you have certain thoughts and you should like sit in them, especially if they are not helpful thoughts. I'm saying sitting with them, observing them from afar, as if like I'm looking at myself from afar. So observing without judging, without trying to create a solution for that thought. And something that has really, really, really helped me is this. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices. This is Psalm 37:7. More so the first part. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Be still. The being still. God, let me slow down. Slow down. God can do much more without you thriving than you know. And he could do much more in the quiet than you can do in your doing and striving throughout the day, is basically what I have learned. And so I have been practicing just being quiet in the morning, even if it's for 20-30 minutes. That's the first thing that I do. Not picking up the phone, not going to the gym, not doing anything else. Because for me, I'm a person, as soon as I wake up, I'm thinking about what I need to do for the day. As soon as I wake up, I'm thinking about the problems from yesterday, or problems I'm going to face the same day, maybe at work or with whatever's going on in life. And so to be able to kind of catch that before it happens has been so beneficial. I have felt more productive in my work day and personal life by incorporating the quiet, the stillness of 20 to 30 minutes in the morning than when I was doing the most in the morning. And I am not saying that it is not a good thing to want to do these things in the morning, to want to be efficient, to make use of your time, to move your body. I still do that too. Like I go to my community gym and I just walk. Right? Before it was like, I need to figure out a workout to do. What plan am I doing? And this and this. If I weight train and then I do cardio, am I gonna have time? Blah blah blah. I'm just like, if you could even walk for 15 minutes on the treadmill, that's fine. And I've been okay with less. At first, it was a huge adjustment, especially if you are a doer, an overachiever, wanting to do the most. It's very hard to make that transition, but please trust me. Well, you don't have to trust me because you don't know me, but try it. Incorporate the quiet. I feel like, and I can only speak from experience and what I observe, but we live in a culture filled with so much noise, so many different opinions, so much access to information. Our brains are constantly just pulled in so many directions and is cluttered. That's how I feel a lot of the times. The days where I am on, and I only use YouTube, and I am, the most. The days that I am on there the most are the days where I feel the worst, worse mentally because at first it doesn't start like this, but as the day goes on, I'm comparing myself to others. Or I'm saying, why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? Or be this or whatever. And then I don't know, I don't think that we are meant to be consuming so much all at once. And that's why I said in the beginning of this, I low-key miss not having so much access when you had to have a landline, like before cell phones, or before cell phones were really popping, where you had to call your friend on the phone and you were stuck in the kitchen or the living room talking to them because you couldn't really walk around with the phone, all right, or it would lose charge. Maybe I'm showing my age right now, but I miss not having access, because at least then it's just me and my thoughts. I'm just competing with me and my thoughts, right? And wrestling with that. And like maybe comparison when I go to school, when I see people or whatever. And that was it, right? You have the school and home or whatever. And maybe like family members. But now the comparison is with everyone, because you have so much access to everyone. Everyone is sharing, and it's a beautiful thing that we have so many resources. But you have to discern what is beneficial, what is helpful, what is useful for you, and throw away the rest. I find, for example, I used to love watching vlogs, right? And I still do. I like vlogs a lot. But I was watching them every day, and long ones too. And then I started to wonder, like, why do I just feel discontent with my own life? And I started to look at the things that I was watching, ingesting, and I'm like, is it the vlogs? Because I'm not looking at the vlogs thinking I hate this person or they don't deserve what they have. That's not it. It was like, dang, how can they be so productive and have all these things, and I've tried and I'm not in the same place, right? And that's not healthy. And that's a different story for a different day. But I'm basically making this video just to encourage you to incorporate some quiet, some rest in your morning routine. In a world that's telling you to do, especially in the morning, so that you can get ahead of the day and blah, 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 blah. If you are struggling to get a solid routine, incorporate 15, 20, 30 minutes of quiet. That's it. What I do is I sit there, I have a patio, balcony, whatever you want to call it, and I just look out of the window. I literally just sit there. I look out of the window. And then sometimes my cats join me, and then once I see them playing and grooming themselves, you know, I start to smile at like random things. Like I start to hear the sounds of the birds and how many different ones there are and how they're flying and where they're going to. Watching the raccoons. There's a lot of animals in Florida. Lord help me. Anyway, there's so many small things that I started to pay attention to that started to make me have this sense of like gratitude and thankfulness that wasn't really there in my morning routine. And whatever thoughts that came, sometimes I write them down, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's not helpful for me to write it down. Sometimes I just say, oh, I noticed this thought, and I pray about it and just leave it there. Okay, I pray about it, leave it there. Especially if it's like a problem that I can't solve, just give it to the Lord. Give it to the Lord, okay? Because he said, cast your burdens onto him because he cares for you. So I'm like, all right, Lord, that's what you said to do. That's what I'm gonna do. And if I have to do that every 5 minutes, I'm gonna keep doing it until it gets to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna set this here this morning, and I'm gonna leave it there until it comes up in my mind, and I'm gonna have to say this and do this again. And after a while, I have started to enjoy waking up in the morning and having that quiet. Like before the opinions of the world, of social media, of friends, family, of work come into my mind, I've already dealt with mine. And God has already dealt with mine. Because I've let him in. So whatever comes my way that day, I find that I am more likely to think rationally, and I just have an easier and more productive day. So I encourage you to have some quiet in your morning routine, and that you deserve that rest in the morning. You deserve it. You deserve. I'm trying to see if I wrote anything down. Anything else? Let's see. Let's see.
Let's see. Why does everything feel performative? Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, that's it. That's all that I got for you. Alrighty.